Erev Solel, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our Erev Shabbat service. It's good to be together on the Shabbat. We're going to begin this evening with a nigun, a song without words. This is a nigun that was composed actually for this particular month of the year. It's called the Sivan nigun. We're in the month of Sivan. And I invite you to join along with me. The words are just lai, 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 lai. As we welcome Shabbat, as the light is fading in the sky, we light our Shabbat candles to bring light and warmth into the Shabbat. I invite you to join with me on page 21 with the reading at the bottom of the page, reading Gimel. To light candles in all the worlds, that is Shabbat. To light Shabbat candles is a soul leap pregnant with potential into a splendid sea. In it, the mystery of the fire of sunset. Lighting the candles transforms my room into a river of light. My heart sets in an emerald waterfall. Please join with me in the bracha on page 23 as we light our Shabbat lights together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Page 24, the words of Yedid Nefesh.
ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, ידיד נפש אב הרחמן, משוך עבדך אל צונך, משוך עבדך יליל רצונך, ירוץ עבדך כמו הים, ישתחווה עדרך, ירוץ עבדך כמו הים, ישתחווה עדרך.
The words of Psalm 63 on page 26. My God, I thirst for you. I yearn for you. You are like clouds of spring rain, bringing cool water to the parched and dusty desert of my soul. In the sanctuary where I feel the power and the glory of your presence, my mouth fills with songs of praise. All my days I will bless you, for I trust you more than life. I feel sated as with a royal feast. When I sing your praises, my heart dances. We sing and we dance as we rise and welcome the Shabbat bride. We're singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9 as usual, and then we rise and face the doors of the sanctuary to welcome the Shabbat bride at the last verse.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, ishmianu el ha'miuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'nehila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki m'kor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavot tchila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat mekabla. It'oreri, it'oreri, ivarech u'giori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai halayich nigla. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei גם בשמחה ובשורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לחרורי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחרורי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת עלה, גם בשמחה ובשורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
If you're standing, you're invited to be seated. Page 34. Echa Ashir. How can I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them? How can I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who decreed them? How can I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them? And how can I sing of seas and deserts when it is God who begot them? And how can I sing of earth and its fullness when it is God who bade them be? I shall sing to God who fashioned all and is beyond all. It is to God that I shall sing. We rise physically or spiritually for the words of the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer. Please join with me in the words of Ma'ariv Aravim on page 37, reading Bet. God of all the worlds, how insignificant we are in your sight and how minute in your presence. You are creator of a universe so vast that the effort to conceive it overwhelms the mind. Our mightiest telescopes scan but a corner of it. The rays of light that reach us from distant galaxies began their journey long before we came to be. Counted from first creation, the earth we live on was born but yesterday, and we made our appearance on it only a moment ago. When we consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what is humanity that you are mindful of us? What are we mortals that you consider us? Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. We praise you, Eternal One, who loves your people Israel. And in the words of Ahavat Olam, grateful for the gift of your Torah and the mitzvot which lead us each day.
Ahavat Olam, B'nei Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, u'kilu mishpatim, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם בלילה, נגע יומם בלילה, באהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
We praise you, Eternal One, who loves your people Israel. We rise for the words of Shema Ve'ahavta on page 40, these words that bind us to God, these words that say, pay attention, listen, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
I, Miriam, stand at the sea and turn to face the desert stretching endless and still. My arms reach for the sky and I want to sing the song rising inside me. My mouth open, I stop. Where are the words? Where is the melody? In a moment of panic, my vision goes blank. Can I take a step without knowing a destination? Will I falter? Will I fall? Will the ground sink away from under me? The song still unformed, how can I sing? To take the first step, to sing a new song, is to close one's eyes and dive into unknown waters for a moment, knowing nothing, risking all. But then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again.
מלכותך רב עליך בוקע יום לפני משה זה עלינו ואמרו זה עלינו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד
As you redeemed Israel and saved us from arms stronger than our own, so may you redeem all those who are still oppressed and persecuted. We praise you, Eternal One, Redeemer of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. The words of the Hashkivenu prayer that we pray at night when we lay down to sleep. We also pray as part of our evening liturgy. We ask God to watch over us and protect us at night, to help us waken in the morning with renewed life, with strength, with energy for the day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim Ushmor tzitenu Uvoreinu L'chaim u'shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim.
On page 49, we join together in the prayer of the Chatzi Kaddish, praising God in these ancient words.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, Amen. Be'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayedcho beit Yisrael, b'gala b'gala, u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yishmer Rabba mevarach ha'olam olam me'almaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalash v'yirkodesha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata Damir on Be'alma, V'yimeru, Amen.
We rise physically or spiritually for the words of the Amidah beginning on page 50 as we turn towards the east.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi hagid tehillatcha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Sarah Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון. גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך במיתון חיי, ומצמיח ישוע. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
If you're standing, please be seated as we join together in the words of Kiddushat Hayom, the holiness of this day, on the bottom of page 53. Our God and God of our ancestors, take pleasure in our rest. Enable us to realize holiness through your mitzvot. Give us our portion of your Torah, and let us enjoy the good things of the world and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth, and help us, our eternal God, to preserve your holy Shabbat with love and joy. Let all Israel, those who sanctify your name, rest upon this day. We praise you, Eternal One, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. The words of the Avodah prayer, page 58. Let us rejoice and give thanks to God, whose name is blessed. God has sustained us to witness the ingathering of the exiles of our people. From all the corners of the world come a people without a land to Eretz Yisrael, a land remembered and waiting. They rebuilt the neglected country and were healed from their sufferings. They made the soil fruitful and they were blessed. Their children now grow in a land of their own. They brought life to the land, renewed vigor to our people. We rejoice and give thanks to God. Their peace is our hope. Their freedom is our joy. Their creation is our pride. Together may we become a light to the nations. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato letzion. We praise you, Eternal One, who brings your Shekhinah to Zion. And the words of Modim, as we give thanks to God for all of the many blessings that we have, on page 59.
Modim אנחנו modim אנחנו We thank you, God, for all your gifts. Modim אנחנו modim We thank you, God, for all your gifts. Modim אנחנו modim
The words of Rav Nachman, in the middle of page 61. May it be your will, our God and God of our ancestors, to remove all wars and bloodshed from our world, and rather to draw great and wondrous peace into the world. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war any more. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, velo yilmadu od milchama. Rather, all people will come to know and understand the truth, that you have not come into the world for strife and war, hatred or jealousy, anger or bloodshed. We have come into this world to know you. May we be eternally blessed. Therefore, be merciful to us and fulfill for us what is written. I shall bestow peace upon the earth. You shall lie down untroubled by anyone. Let justice well up like water and righteousness as a mighty stream. The whole earth shall be filled with knowledge of Adonai, as the water fills the sea. And we sing words of shalom, words of peace. The words of Shalom Rav, page 63.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Ki ata u'melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata u'melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. V'tov einecha levorech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam.
We take a few moments to pray the words of our own hearts.
Oh, say shalom, shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Adam. Oh, say shalom, shalom b'romav, Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Adam. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Shalom, shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu,
Our Parsha this Shabbat contains the well-known story of the 12 spies that were sent into the land of Canaan to assess the strength of the inhabitants and the productivity of the land. God tells Moses, Shlach lecha, send for yourself scouts, or sometimes translated as spies, who represent each of the 12 tribes, presumably because God has already promised the land and knows the ultimate outcome. And of those 12, only 2, Caleb and Joshua, are optimistic. They try to assure and rally the people, but the majority of the people side with the other 10 spies, who see themselves as grasshoppers compared to the giants that they report as inhabiting the land. And so the people rebel against God, and once more Moses intercedes to save them from destruction. But because of their lack of trust, they will have to wander the desert for another 40 years, and none of the wilderness generation, except for Caleb and Joshua, will live to enter the promised land. The remainder of our Parsha this week focuses on a variety of different laws, and it ends with the mitzvah, the commandment to wear fringes, to wear tzitzit. We wear these on the ends of our garments as a reminder of the mitzvot. And this last commandment is the concluding section of the Torah portion. The last 2 verses of Parshat Shlach Lecha are well known from our prayers because they're the last final verses of Ve'ahavta. Leman tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall be reminded to observe all my mitzvot, my commandments, and be holy to your God. For I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. So this section of instructions about wearing the fringes tells us to attach a cord of blue to the fringe at each corner. The blue or purple color is called techelet. It's not found in many tzitzit today. You won't see it here. That's because the chilazon, or the small snail-like creature from which the dye was extracted, has long been thought to be extinct. But that blue color is replicated today in the traditional design of many talitot that have blue stripes and in the flag of the state of Israel. Here's a fun fact. Isaac Herzog, who has just this week been elected as the 11th president of the state of Israel, is the grandson and is named for Rabbi Dr. Yitzchak Isaac Halevi Herzog, who was a master of countless theological and secular subjects and reportedly spoke 12 languages, served as the chief rabbi of 2 countries, among other things. Why am I telling you this? Well, after his formal yeshiva learning, he studied the Sorbonne in Paris and the University of London and wrote a doctoral thesis. And his doctoral thesis there focused on identifying that source for that blue thread, for that techelet, this blue dye that's mentioned in this week's Parsha. The secret of techelet has been lost for thousands of years, or so it was thought, and so Jews have traditionally just since then worn all white fringes as opposed to wearing what they thought might be the wrong type of blue. But Rabbi Herzog found a trunculus snail that's known as the murex snail as the source of the dye, and a significant number of people today now will dye one of the fringes on their tzitzit, blue or purple, since this discovery. It's a little bit of an aside, but interesting. The rabbis wondered as well why God commanded the inclusion of this one blue thread among the white threads of the tzitzit. And of course, part of the understanding is that when you see and can distinguish a thread of blue from a thread of white in the morning, you know it's time for the morning prayers. In the Talmud, there's a discussion on tzitzit and on this special color of techelet, which is probably more like a royal purple or blue. But we know that there are a lot of colors that are sort of on that spectrum, different hues that make up blue and purple and indigo and violet. So in the Talmud, it says, in Tractate Menachot, Rabbi Meir used to say, how is techelet different from all the other colors? Because techelet is like the sea, and the sea is like the sky, and the sky is like God's throne of glory. As it says, under God's feet was the likeness of sapphire brickwork, and it was like the essence of heaven and purity. So I want you to think about the color spectrum and the hues that we can find within blues and purples and indigos and violets, and how they kind of shift depending on the light and the space. Because Rabbi Meir here is linking the tzitzit as a reminder not only to observing the mitzvot, the commandments, but also as a reminder linking us to a sense of what is in the world and a sense of what is God. He takes us on the stages of a journey. Techelet is not only a color in his description, it's the color first of the sea, and then up into the sky, and then of the hidden place of God. And the picture that he paints with these hues and tints of the techelet are to cause us to think about the connection between us and God. The sea, the water, that's the place we can reach, we can touch, we can get wet and see, we can smell and taste the salt in the water, we can hear the waves washing up on the shore. And even though the sea is vast, we can eventually travel to its borders, to where it meets land. It is ultimately finite. The sky, we can see. And we can see the colors moving across it, but we cannot touch it. And it appears to us to be infinite. And then Rabbi Meir's imagery links us to the throne of glory, the exaltedness of God. In this journey from sea to sky to the vastness of the universe, and ultimately to what's beyond our complete knowing and our complete understanding. Rabbi Meir is teaching us to think beyond ourselves, beyond even what we can normally imagine. There is in our tradition another version of this statement of Rabbi Meir's, which makes the idea of this progression even clearer. In the Midrash Tehillim, the Midrash on Psalms, we read that the techelet resembles the sea, and the sea is like the grasses, and the grasses are like the trees, and the trees are like the firmament, and the firmament is like the radiance, and the radiance is like the rainbow, and the rainbow is like the divine image. This rendition causes us to move more slowly. It's almost as if a camera is moving forward and bringing us into a wider and wider and more of a panoramic view that takes us in and out beyond ourselves, almost as if you were sitting in a panoramic theater and watching the camera pull back wider and wider, beyond ourselves and our world, from sea level to ground level to tree level to sky and then beyond. And in this account, the crucial element in this teaching is from Rabbi Hezekiah. Rabbi Hezekiah taught, when the children of Israel are wrapped in their prayer shawls, let them not think that they are clothed merely in ordinary blue. Rather, let the children of Israel look upon their prayer shawls as though the glory of the presence were covering them. So Rabbi Meir's comment reminds us that we're not permitted to merely contemplate the world, we are also part of it. Immediately preceding this teaching, the Talmud asks why we are told to look at the tzitzit and remember God's commandments, and the Talmud then offers the answer that seeing leads to remembering, and remembering leads to doing. So looking at the tzitzit is meant to remind us to act. Ramban, Nachmanides, suggests that the techelet was chosen because its spelling is very close to the word tachlit, which means purpose or goal. In other words, looking at the fringes are meant to help us not only to see and contemplate the mitzvot, but to do them, to reach out, to act. In the Torah Women's Commentary, Rabbi Nina Beth Carden shares this reflection on the commandment to wear tzitzit, and she writes, "When I put on my talit, even when I'm alone, I place myself in the folds of my people. Donning the talit is a daily visual symbol of my identity, reminding me to whom I belong as I begin my day's journey. It protects me, it shields me, and defines me. Falling around my shoulders and my arms, the talit provides me with a secure awareness of my body and its boundaries. I am not lost there, but found. Others are outside. I'm inside, but we are one. I fill up my talit no matter my size, I always will. And it is in that fullness that I am counted as a member of the congregation." So when a Jew puts on a talit to pray in the morning, he or she recites a blessing that acknowledges this commandment, lihitatef batzitzit, to wrap oneself in the tzitzit. And metaphorically, we wrap ourselves in the mitzvot. And these mitzvot, these commandments, these obligations are not just orders issued to us from above. Rather, they are the spiritual clothes that we wear, the commitment that we have, and they protect us and adorn us and connect the inner beauty of our souls with the outer beauty of our actions. We also recite a verse before putting on the talit that declares that God is clothed in splendor and majesty and wrapped in light as with a garment, unfolding the heavens like a curtain. The psalmist says that God also wears a talit, a garment of light that represents the heavens. And so when we look at these fringes of the talit, and we remember the original instruction here in Shlach Lecha, we remember how the talit and the tzitzit recalls a partnership, a brit, a commitment with God that makes us and our actions central to the order of the universe. When we do mitzvot, when we honor that part of the commitment that we have made, we're doing our part in bridging a gap between our world and the heavens, between ourselves and God, between what is and what could be. Shabbat Shalom. I invite you to join me on page 133 for the words of the Misha Berach, as we ask God's blessing upon those in need of healing of body and healing of spirit. In our community on this Shabbat, we especially are thinking of Shirley Herman, Esther Wuchenmark, Shoshana Burr, Gunter Thompson, Rick Valentine, Simon Green, Yvonne Dixon, Marlene Friedman, Linda Levenheck, Jack Kudlatz, Francis Van Tyne, Suzanne Scher-Stimson, Mordechai Sandulevici, Michal Suriel, Bernie McLennan, Harriet Lachman, Jill Rich, Ellen Becker, Ilana Miriam Bat-Chava, Nicola Proetti, Lois Dean, Eliyahu Ben Yitzhak Vasara, Phil Berkowitz, Liz Travis, Rebecca Bodeville, Parker Kaiko, Tzvi Tzur, Philip Shepard, Raymond Stein, and Ron Dubois. I invite you to speak aloud or to hold in your heart the names of those for whom you are praying on this Shabbat, as we ask God to give them comfort and strength.
Mi shebeirach avoteinu, mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu, mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn now to the concluding prayers of our service with the words of Aleinu on page 149. As we rise and pray for the day when the world will be one and God's name will be one.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liotzer bereshit, asher sam chelkenu liached et shemo, v'gohor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמו, ושכינתו זו, בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כתוב בתורתו, וידעת והשבת אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עיnon. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated if you're standing and join with me on page 158. You are with us in our prayer, in our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and to do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We recall the names of two for whom we are in Shloshim at this time, the first 30 days of mourning. Josephine Quintiliani, the grandmother of Sarah Quintiliani and Ellie Hoffman. Mel Kruger, the father of Adam Kruger and the father-in-law of Crystal Wong, and the grandfather of Ephraim, Harmony, and Zane, the husband of Evelyn. We recall as well the following whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week. Dolores Yarmo, the mother of Rob and the grandmother of Melanie and Matthew. Rose Marlowe Lester, the mother of John Marlowe. Elvira Muller, the cousin of Lena Rule. Marie Lemming, the mother of Darlene Freeman. Fanny Kugelmass, the mother of Michael. Bernard Tash, the father of Marlene and Seymour, and the father-in-law of Tom Dennis and the grandfather of Andrew. Hirsch Wanowitz, the cousin of Lila Wiersba. Blanche Cohen, the mother of Beverly Rothschild, the grandmother of Lisa and Debbie, and the great-grandmother of Ethan, Hayden, Emma, and Adina. Paula Korda, the aunt of Roz Weisberg. Kelly Wright, the grandmother of Rachel. Sigmund Steinmetz, the grandfather of Stephen Steinmetz. Lydia Schneider, the mother of Sylvia Loeffler and the grandmother of Romina and Julieta. Edward Isidore Tavis, the father of Peter. And Irving Bornstein, the father of Linda Blofield. I invite you to share aloud now those for whom you are saying Kaddish for this Shabbat, or to hold their name in your heart. As we invite those who are mourning to please rise first, as we say to you these words, Min hamakom tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. Page 159. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yamechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lam me'almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei adam, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all the people of Israel, and among all the nations and families of earth. And let us say together, Amen. Please be seated if you're standing. Announcements on behalf of our board and our congregation. First and foremost, we wish you a Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad that you're joining with us here at Solel for our Shabbat service this evening. We invite you to join us tomorrow morning for our Shabbat morning service that will be held at 10 a.m. right here where you're finding us on the live stream. And we're looking forward to celebrating with Jeremy Wernich and his family, his parents Jen and Ryan, his sister Clara, and his grandparents Brian and Penny, Linda and Ed, his Aunt Marcy, lots of other family members as he becomes bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. That's at 10 a.m. Next Shabbat, the 11th of June at 8 p.m. is our regular Erev Shabbat service, and Saturday morning, the 12th of June, is our regular Shabbat morning service with the B'nai Mitzvah of Theo and Liz Hogg. So we look forward to celebrating with them as well. Upcoming events in our community. On June the 14th is Arlene's next virtual book club. That's going to be Monday, the 14th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. The book is Snow in August. It is part fairy tale, part historical, but completely engaging, and Arlene promises you will love this novel. June 25th, our Friday Erev Shabbat service at 8 p.m. will be our Pride service. We hope you'll join us via a live stream for our special Erev Shabbat service to be celebrating Pride 2021. A couple of other things that are going on throughout the summer. At 11 a.m. on 4 Sundays, June 20th, July 11th, July 25th, and August 8th, join Solel for a breakfast club from Israel through the Looking Glass, on Zoom for a look at Israeli culture, diversity, and more. Take a tour on the Israel Trail, listen to the role that music has played in Israeli culture and society, learn more about the complexity of Israeli society, and lots of other things. So that's going to be on Zoom. Information about that is in your shamas, and we hope you'll sign up and join us for that. In the wider community, we invite you to join me and the Women's Rabbinic Network this Sunday at 5:30, June 6th, as we celebrate 50 years in the rabbinate. More information about that is also in the shamas. And if you missed our town hall this last Tuesday, June 1st, with Dr. Lawrence Lowe, Peel's Region Medical Officer of Health, you can catch more about that and watch the recording of it on our YouTube channel. Again, all of that information went out this week in our shamas, but if you've got further questions about it, please feel free to contact the office and we'll help you find the information that you need. And our weekly Solel lunch break continues on Zoom on Thursdays at noon. So we hope you'll join us for some, if not all, of these services and programs that are upcoming. And as always, more information is on our website. As we conclude our service this Shabbat, I invite you to join with me on page 163 as we raise a glass for the words of Kiddush for Erev Shabbat. Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Voker, Yom HaShishi. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was completed. With the seventh day, God had ended the work of creation and rested with all the work completed. Then God blessed the seventh day and called it holy, for with this day God had completed the work of creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a day of joy, a day of peace, a day of rest. Please stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy. Sign up for your second shot if you're eligible.